Alright, so unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know that becoming a developer is all that rage and getting on this learn how to code hype train. So the first ever bootcamp appeared in 2011, and ever since the popularity and demand for coding bootcamps have only gone up. On top of that, we have platforms and courses that teaches you how to code, and some of them are completely free, like Free Code Camp. And all of these programs are great, but they all have one thing in common. They teach you web development, and they follow a certain path. You learn some front-end development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you learn some back-end, you build a portfolio, and you start applying for jobs. This is one of the most common path most new developers follow, and I think it's the most effective too. But if you're someone who's considering to become a web developer, I would like to talk you out of it and present you with an alternative which is arguably the hottest and the most in-demand skill in the tech industry right now. Let's find out what. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Aslah and I'm a software engineer based in Prague. So last year when I was finishing my university, I knew I wanted to get into tech, and I started looking for internships and full-time job opportunities. And every job in one way or the other required some sort of web development skills. So like everyone else, I joined the full stack web development online bootcamp, and I started learning HTML, CSS and JavaScript because I don't think any schools actually teach you HTML and CSS, or do they? The most interesting part of web development is anything that you build, you instantly see results on your screen. And as I was moving further in the course, I was also applying for jobs, I was building my portfolio website, and I generally found two problems in the job market. Number one, the web development market is getting saturated. With this explosion of boot camps and all these online free resources available, it's been so much easier for anyone who wants to learn to code and who's willing to put the effort to break into the industry. But it also means the competition is really high. So for the same web development position, there might be many applicants, and having the skills might just not stand you out. You might also need the experience. And two, companies are hiring fewer and fewer junior developers. This goes with the problem we were talking earlier. When a large company is trying to reduce the size of their team, the first ones to usually get affected are UI UX designers or web developers. It's not because web development is not a valuable skill, but when you look at it, it's less critical for the long-term operation of a big tech company. And with the increase in modern web technologies and frameworks that we have now, these tech companies are reducing the need of having a large web development team. And most of these companies are also trying to outsource this sort of work to freelancers. So the bottom line here is web development is a great career, but it's getting competitive day by day, especially for junior developers with no experience. So now enter cloud development. So what is cloud development? Simply put, is the usage of modern development technologies to architect, build and support complex cloud infrastructure. A cloud developer is essentially a developer who knows how to build and automate the actual infrastructure. And to be a successful cloud developer, you're supposed to know both the development and infrastructure side of the cloud. And these public clouds have been around only for less than 10 years or so. And you might have seen these job descriptions like DevOps engineer, solutions architect, cloud architect, and all of these jobs are having different fancy titles, but fundamentally the core technical skills needed for all these jobs are pretty much the same. So you might be asking, why cloud development? There are many reasons why you should consider moving into cloud development, but here are some of the promising ones. Number one, high demand. Most of the companies today are already on cloud or currently under the process of trying to move to cloud. And on top of that, we have multiple cloud providers like Salesforce, Microsoft Azure, AWS, and they also have multiple services under them. For example, Salesforce has numerous services like Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Service Cloud, and they're the number one cloud in the CRM space. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management, and if you look at Enterprise Relation Management, SAP is the #1 provider there. So the further down we go this rabbit hole of different services and different cloud providers, the complexity just increases, and these companies need experts who can navigate this sort of complexity and who has the technical skills to develop and maintain this sort of infrastructure. Number 2, very limited supply. So it turns out there are not many people who has these technical skills that we mentioned earlier. And this is a bit of generalization, but if we look at tech professionals, they generally come from two backgrounds. There are people who comes from software development background who are CS graduates or self-taught developers, and then there are people who comes from an IT operations background who are network engineers, support engineers, or system admins. So in the market there are no people who has both these skills, or there are no people who comes from both these backgrounds, and this is a sweet spot to be. So to work as a cloud developer, you need to have a fundamental knowledge of both these backgrounds. So you need to be someone who knows how to write a for loop, as well as a person who knows what an IP address is. And this brings us to our third point, high demand plus low supply. You don't need to be an economics mastermind to understand this. High demand plus low supply means... And this theory actually holds up. If you look at any of the industry report, cloud jobs are consistently some of the highest paying jobs. Okay, that brings us to our fourth and final point. Building on cloud is so much fun. Building fancy interfaces and colorful buttons are so much fun, but cloud development is on a whole another level. Okay, that was a mean joke. I know web development is so much more than that. So as a cloud developer, you will be building and automating pretty impressive infrastructure. So you will be architecting solutions that can scale up to hundreds and thousands of users, and you will be working with different set of technologies. So one day you will be maintaining a CI/CD pipeline, and the other day you will be working on a serverless architecture. So at work I use Salesforce, and 2 weeks back I was writing a lot of Apex code or backend code for Salesforce, and last week I wrote 0 lines of code. I was just automating things inside Salesforce using their low code or less code automation tools, and I was architecting solutions for some of the automation processes. So the best part of working in cloud is that you get to use different set of technologies, and every day presents you with a different set of challenge. So with that being said, I hope this video was helpful. I was able to shed some light to an alternative path if you're someone who's trying to become a developer, who's someone who's trying to get into web development. And I also plan to make a video on how to get into cloud development. And until then, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.